Well, hello again, YouTube. It's Petey, and today I wanted to show you the finished product. So this is the all-in-one. It has a Zoom LiveTrack L8, which is a mixer that also is a digital recorder. It has a power amp. That's this black knobs on the white panel down here. That's a very powerful Class D amplifier that has 2.1 output. So it's two satellite speakers and then a subwoofer. There is this MP3 player here, and there's a TF card slot or a thumb drive slot. So we put the drum tracks for our songs, our music. Each song will have a drum track, which is a stereo recording, a WAV file, a high quality file, or it might be a high quality MP3 in some cases, a 320 MP3. Doesn't matter so much, but the MP3 player is these buttons here. I don't like the tactile feel of these small plastic buttons, so I got these larger, ridiculous, oversized mushroom head aluminum knobs. Green for play, fast forward is red, and then we have another red knob for rewind, play, pause in the center. So these controls here are basically cloned down to these buttons here. I manually soldered wires from each one of these switches down to this assembly in here. And the output from our media player is these two cables here. So when we get to the gig, we can throw this box down. I can plug my guitar into these two. I have a stereo guitar setup, and then my wife will have her bass. I'll go into these two, and then we plug a 48 volt power pack into this jack here. There'll be a couple of batteries in these guys here. And these batteries, they just power our media player. The main, this 48 volt pack with this fuse and this switch will run the power amp. So this switch here connects these batteries to the multimedia player. And everything's fused. I like to run fuses just in case. Over here we have an output jack. This connects the output of our mixing board to the power amp. So it's like an all-in-one device. We slap this down when we're going to play. There's my cat. We slap this down, plug the speakers in. There's 3 speaker cable connections. There's connect the guitar and the bass up here, and then plug our battery in, and we're ready to go. And then the LiveTrack, the Zoom L8, we got this on an auction. I never would be able to afford something like this. I didn't even know they made it. It came up on my auction site, and I did a snipe bidding procedure, manual sniped it, and got it for half of retail value. So we did good on the LiveTrack. It records there's a TF or a SD card, and it records the stereo mix of the output as well as a track for each one of the inputs. So it's absolutely amazing. I'll have individual tracks that I can re-edit and get the sound dialed in optimally, professionally on our live gigs, our outdoor. We just go out in the woods and play is basically what it is. My wife and I with our little duo. So let's use the folder. This is a sign that I got somewhere. I didn't steal it. It's a sheet metal sign, and I used a jigsaw and then a file, and I made this panel. We cut out, we did 2 large circular holes on either end of this, and then used the jigsaw to turn that into an oval slot for this to fit. And this was a little tricky doing this mounting the amplifier. But you can see the master volume, the treble speakers volume, that's what they call it. This is actually the satellite volume, actual treble control, and then the volume control for the subwoofer. There's our media player. And it has an IR port and a line in. The IR port is for a remote control that we have and we really don't use. I very well may clone this green switch to a port that would be another jack on the side here towards the front. Put a 1/4-inch jack in here, and that would be a cable I could connect to a foot switch. I forgot about that. That's one last thing I really need to do to this. I must always have a foot switch jack. You can get these press-in 1/8-inch jacks, and I might get one of those. You drill an exact size hole and just like press fit it in. It's a really cool type of 3.5 millimeter connector. So this 18650 batteries here is on and off. That's connects this hotline here. It's like roughly 9 volts to the media player, and then this is the 48 volt bus here with the fuse, the input, and the switching, throwing 48 volts over to our master power amp, which we will get a look at it. The zoom is fastened with a coat hanger. That's what's holding it down. And this is a handle we got from the Goodwill. A lot of this stuff is recycled and used. The main chassis is a silverware service box. How about that? So here we have the SD card. It came with a 128 gig, a SanDisk rated at a 10 for its throughput. Made this custom cable. These connectors are recycled. They're 6.35 millimeter TRS jacks stereo, and I know this one with the blue tape ran on my boat. So this thing has been out on a lot of river trips. And it's great to see that I'm still using it. I have a Switchcraft 90 connector that I've had since I was a kid. Actually, my red, the cable, if you ever see me playing guitar and I've got a red cable, that's my performance cable. I've had that since I was 17 years old. I take care of some of my stuff. I mean, it looks like crap maybe, but hey, I try. So these are locking output jacks. They will not let go of the jack unless you push that red tab in. And these are for our, the power amp is rated at 600 watts. So this is right satellite, left satellite, which those are 10-inch PA speakers with 1-inch compression horn drivers. They're cheapos. They're the Behringer PA speakers. And then the sub it's a nice sub. We have a GK Neo 210 that we found for $19.95 at the Goodwill. Couldn't believe the day we found that. My wife was not happy. I was ecstatic. But I mean, it's the biggest speaker in the house, so that's why she wasn't happy. The thing is about as big as a washing machine. So the master mix output, it has a dedicated volume knob for that right here. And that's taking our master mix and throwing it down to this port here, which takes it to the power amp, which will feed out to these speakers. So it's pretty basic operation. I did make this custom cable. We tested it. The wiring came out of a mixing board that came from a Rockford, Illinois radio station. I recycle everything. There's the other end of the coat hanger. And this is relic. This is actually, we got this scrap wood from a dumpster at an industrial park, a cabinet company, and I shot it with some primer and then some black, and did a sanding job on it to make it look like something that you'd find in a basement of a waterlogged Nashville studio or something. And it's brand new wood, just relict. That's what they call that. So that's our new all-in-one. I call it an all-in-one. This one is an improvement over the last one. Each channel has a 3-band EQ, a pan, and an effect bus. You get one master effect. You can record up to 96K. I'm going to be recording at 48, 24-bit 48. Is that kilohertz? 1644 is CD quality. 16-bit 44 kilohertz is CD quality sound. We're going to be doing 2448 as opposed to 1644. So it's going to be a little bit better sounding with hopefully. I'm not sure about this live track, about the sound quality on it. I know it's people say that it's good. It's not just passable. They say it's good. It says it has the Zoom preamps in it. So we'll have to see. I mean, the proof in the pudding will be when we play a remote and I'm able to bring an edited file to you guys. What does it sound like? And I also have another mixer. We got this PV RQ200 that we have here. And if worse comes to worse, we could always use the old Behringer, or I could do something with this PV, because the PV sounds really good. I got to tell you, out of all the miniature or portable battery-powered mixers that we have, this PV seems to have something special about the preamps. Maybe it was just my imagination. I'm going to have to do some further testing. But here is a 6-in-1, or is it an 8-in-1? I forget. 18650 power pack. This is going to power the Zoom, the mixer, the LiveTrack L8. And if you need to access this battery for charging, you can pull these screws out and remove it. I eventually will run a charging cable inside here and cut a port out, so when it's time to charge this, you can run the cable outside to a USB and charge it that way. More than likely, you'll see that charging cable will have some sort of a mount, some type of a screw or something holding it in place, the charge cable. Here's the 600 watt power amp, 300 watt output for the subwoofer, and then 150 per channel for our satellites. It does have a fan. You can hook up a fan. I'm not concerned with it. I've run these amps before and haven't ever had to have a fan yet. So when I run into a problem, we'll see. But this costs about $55 at the time. You can get them for about $35 now. But we had them ship me a unit where they had shrunk wrap it so hard that it bent the pot and cracked the connections on the pot. So I had them send me a replacement, and I think I was able to repair it. I don't know, somehow I ended up with an extra one of these boards. But this is the same amp that we're running now with our Behringer 1002B. We have a total of 3 of these all-in-ones now. I keep updating them, and then it's nice to keep the old spare. We'll keep one of them, working in case something happens with the new one. But these, I only had 3 of this style of 1/4-inch jack, so I used an inline, like a headphone style jack for one of the other connections, and then just slobbered some hot glue on it. But hey, I won't tell if you won't tell. It's not a beauty pageant. I've been building this stuff for a long time. The stuff I really try to not have cold joints, and I use flux, and I will always double check and double solder everything to make sure that it's really done well. Because if you don't, it'll break. Trust me, you can count on that. So this stuff may not look real pretty, the work that I've done here, but trust me, it's not going to break down. And if it does, I have a portable, it's a USB soldering iron, and we run it on 12 volts, and it works wonderfully. So here's those 19 mil mushroom head knobs. Here's the underside of the what do you call it? The MP3 decoder board, the media player. And you can see how I was saying the play, rewind, and fast forward, that I cloned those buttons. That means I just soldered wires onto where the original switches were and ran them down to these respective switches. That's what this looks like. This is the modification. This master black ground wire coming out, and then the blue wire is fast forward, the white and orange wire is play, and the red and white wire is rewind. That's how that works. Power switch for the MP3, master power switch, and under here I cut a giant panel out of a cereal box to hold these wires down here. These are the audio. This is coming out of this media player, and it's held down, and then it comes up and meets. It's hard soldered, and it's got shrink boot, and it goes up through the roof over to the mixer. But yeah, here's the 48 volt power jack. It's called a aviation connector, I think. But they're rated for higher voltage. Like this is like 48 volts or 42 volts or something. It's an e-bike battery is what we plug into here to power the main power amp. And then, so that goes right through a fuse, hops over to a switch here, and then out. And there's half of that switch is open. I had intended to do something with the power bank for the mixer, but it turns out I don't need to. The power bank itself has its own little switch. Here's that wiring coming out. It's shrink booted into a pair of 1/4-inch cables that have a sheath of heat shrink tubing over the both of them. So that there, it lifts out and it pushes down. It's not really a weak, it's an ugly spot there. It's not really a weak point, but if I were going to pick something that's eventually going to break or give me a hard time, it would probably be right in here. One of these wires would break. But more than likely, after a couple seasons, in the off season, I'll go through it. But like running screws in to keep the wiring looking orderly. Like this is a ground connection here. And I put dum-dum on it to hold it down. You can see the dum-dum there. I'm using lamp cord for the 48 volts. And here you can see where I've bored two large circular holes and then ran the jigsaw across to make an oval cutout for the potentiometers to sit all the way up front flush so we could get this panel to line up. That was like really what you want to do. You drill these 3 holes, but you don't pilot the wood. And then once you got it lined up and set through the front, you push the amp through the front, and then you attach the plate and put the fasteners on each potentiometer, and then you line it up and see how it fits. Then drill through into your mounting holes. I had mounted it where I thought it would do and eyed it out by eye, and I was off. So thankfully I was off by enough. It was like full 2.5 millimeter. So I can just drill new pilot holes and nobody will see anything. This is a lip now, which I don't like, but it used to be flush, but now it's it's sticking up a little bit. But it's not really gonna be being opened when I'm using it. It'll eventually, once I install the charging cord for the power pack, it's not going to need to be opened at all. My classic coat. We are out of coat hangers. I need to get coat hangers. We're down to our last 2, and I use the coat hanger wire for stuff all the time. For making little to clean my crack pipe. And so this, if you take this screw out, then you can open this is like a latch. So I got to get something like a thumb screw is what I need. Need a thumb screw that terminates like a regular short wood screw, and I don't even know if they make anything like that, so I might have to get fancy. So that's it. That's our new all-in-one. You can subscribe if this stuff is interesting to you. If you haven't checked out my music before, I'm not a talented guitar player. But that's not to say that our music is bad. Our music is good. But I'm not able to solo or shred. I'm like more of a rhythm guy that pretends like I'm playing lead sometimes. And I'm not really able to do that because I'm missing 2 of my fingers. So you can check out our music. My wife and I make this just for fun. If you haven't heard that, that's what this piece of gear is all about. You can check out any of the remote. Just type in REMOTE, remote, and there's plenty of music you can listen to on this channel. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions or comments, subscribe, like, and share. Hug your pets. That's really the important one. If you have a cat, be super nice to it. Give it some treats and special time. Here's my cat there, Keita. He's a good boy. I will talk to you later. Peace.